Hi there. I just wanted to try and do a talk, and I think I want to talk about my spiritual awakening when it happened. When I basically first had this awakening, I wasn't into spiritual things. You know, my mum and my family used to have these mind, body and spirit. They call it psychic fairs, but it's more like mind, body and spirit fairs. And I grew up in that environment. But I wasn't really into spiritual things. Grew up with psychic and stuff, but I wasn't really, so when I had my awakening, it was totally unexpected. But what happened in it is I basically went through a rebirthing. And this experience is very personal to me. So you're very privileged to hear it. I don't talk about the rebirthing a lot, because it's so it was such a big experience. This was the biggest experience in the awakening. And nothing, I don't think, can compare to that. Going through being born again, and that's what I believe happened. I know that happened because when I had this awakening, I changed all of a sudden, and then basically a very strong thoughts, my own thoughts. It was like that higher self, you could say, comes through, or the divine self, and basically rapid heart rate for this lasted for about 2 weeks. And very powerful energies. I felt like I could do anything, basically. And I was very frightened also, and I was acting crazy as well, and really frightened because I didn't know where it was. I felt all this beautiful angelic energy around me. I thought that I was going to die, and so I was running around saying that I was possessed. For about a week, and then after about a week, I realised what I had, and then I calmed down. I thought, God, I've got an amazing experience that I didn't ask for. I don't mean to sound big-headed, but I thought, I'm chosen. We're all chosen actually, but that's what I thought at the time. I thought, God, what is it about me that I've got this experience? But later I found out that we're all going through a global awakening. But for years I thought that I had a soul switch, because it's not true, because we're all one infinite. Everything must start from nothing, meaning that nothing is one infinity, meaning there is no separation. But still the theory of the soul switch is interesting. I thought that because if that happened, because when I had the awakening, the point of it, and the reason for years I thought I had a soul switch is because at the moment of the awakening, before the rebirthing, everything changed all of a sudden. It was like I was just everything changed. And if you had a soul switch, that soul would take on all your memories. So it wouldn't have any memory of before it done that. So that soul would then become you. No memory of the past, of its own existence, but it would still be its own personality. So it would be a little bit different from you. And that would explain why all of a sudden I felt differently. If I'm that soul that switched, you see, and that other person would be away. I've even had family members say it. My own mum said, she said a few things. She says, "You're not the same Sean." The other thing she said was that I was basically a more divine spirit, and she believed that Sean has now moved on. Because Sean had a lot of problems, a lot of issues, and but it's just a theory, this soul switch. I'm not saying I might feel like I had the experience of that, but remember, everything, like I say, must start from nothingness. Meaning you might have an experience of separation, but it's not really separate. You see? Everything must come from nothing, meaning that it's all one. You can't have... That means that this is your dream. Right? And that's all it can be. If you start as nothing, that means nothing is infinity. Meaning that there's only one. Meaning that there's only you. Go deeper, there's no you, that you're just in. Nothing must be like a infinite, like a consciousness. Remember, nothingness is infinite potential. It's infinity, pure infinity. People don't realise that that's what nothingness really. It's infinity of potential. You know, and this, if you're nothingness, you know, infinite potential, that means that your experience now, if you're dealing with infinity, that means that you're dealing with an experience that's always been. It's been tried and tested an infinite number of times. Right? So you're always born into a reality that has been tried and tested infinitely. So there's never a start point. You know? Never a start point. It's like I listened to the audiobook of Genesis a while ago, and on YouTube. I wouldn't listen to any other Bible books. That was enough for me. And I thought, this is basically just very old children's fairy tales. Because the very beginning of the book saying, in the beginning, that's a lie. You know, it's basically just what I think of that is the book of Genesis is I think that it's, after listening to it, that it's basically a way, it's not the devil, the Bible, it's a way of actually opening you up to yourself within you if you look at it in a symbolic way. It's written in symbolic ways so that the people looking symbolically can see it. I never looked at things symbolically before this awakening. I do now, because it showed me that. Everything is just symbolic. Because if it's nothingness, it means numbers would have been once created when people could draw or something. All shaped. It's just, you know what I mean? Because if everything must start from nothing. Before you do something, you don't even think about it. So what's that thing that makes you think then? Because within the nothing, there's a jewel. Even though it's non-dual nothingness. There's awareness, and science talks about this. You know, they call it reflector consciousness, and they say what reflector consciousness is basically nothingness, infinity, but it basically perceives a mirror of itself, and that then becomes the ego attachment. And that, in fact, is the self. But it's all illusory because the ego didn't exist in the first place. You see? But that's what the self is. An ego-based attachment. So you can't get rid of your ego because it doesn't exist. You see? But anyway, I think I'm just going to end it there. If you're watching, you're meant to watch it. Everything Falls Divine Order. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.